it's most regrettable. I know that Malawi is a member of SADC. Tanzania is the East African Economic Community with Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, and Rwanda, and those other enclaves. But I started to see how a member of SADC can impose those sanctions on another member of the SADC, especially when it is against South Africa is the largest economy in the SADC and the most powerful industrial base. Of course, South Africa is even on the African continent without doubt one of the biggest, if not the biggest economy. Maybe we take Nigeria and Egypt, but South Africa is an economic powerhouse. So to commence the imposition of sanctions, where you are deliberately going to boycott the goods from another SAD member state or a country with that proximity. Take note also that Malawi is a landlocked country. And so it suffers a lot of disadvantages. So my taking is that, yes, there may be a reason why Malawi will contemplate imposing those sanctions. But I think that the greater need for economic integration and for economic development for the progress and benefit of the Malawian people, just like the South African people, is trade. Economic exchanges. Bless, studies have proven that if Africa is able to trade, Africans were able to trade among ourselves, we will be 10 times better than aid. So trade is 10 times better than aid, that the aid we receive from the Western nations and all these other countries put together. So the panacea is trade, exchange, integration of our economies. That is the answer. And so if you see small countries on our continent, instead of coalescing, we are drifting apart. I have always cited this example. Look at the EU. Okay, look at Germany. If Ghana is competing against Germany, what chance do we have? We are competing against Britain. We are competing against France, Switzerland, Netherlands, all those countries. You don't have a chance even against them competing individually. Then they themselves feel threatened. Even the stronger nations now feel that in the current global economic paradigm, standing alone does not benefit them. It benefits them more to coalesce and get into bigger economic union where they can harness their economies and have a bigger market. So they form a European Union. So even when they were there individually, you had no chance. Now they have coalesced into a greater European Union. Your chances are almost zilch. And so while they are coalescing and getting bigger and integrating their economies and working to the benefit of their people, we are balkanizing. We are splintering. We are marred by internecine conflicts to the point that we lose the focus of integration and get at each other. The typical pecking of the fowls that I talked about. So it doesn't make sense. Who says that even the European countries, they don't have differences? They have. But they look at the bigger picture, the focus. The Gombe said that when you see the lizard fleeing, it is looking for the nearest Iroko tree. So the focus should be on integrating our economies and making lives better for our people. So that if we have that as our primary aim, nothing should distract us. Whatever the level of contention or conflict between two states or a number of states, we should be able to overcome that. But unfortunately, we get consumed in these petty conflicts and allow the bigger picture to slip away. And so that is why I feel very sorry. Any day I see any African country involved in another international conflict, involved in some dispute, involved in some trade boycott of another African country, it's a sad commentary. The recently enunciated African free trade area that we brought about to help to will not be helped by these kinds of conflicts that we are having. So I believe that if we have a mechanism On the African continent, people think the AU and others has not been very effective in mediating conflicts and getting resolutions to those matters. Even though we have a committee on conciliation and reconciliation at the AU, but they have not been as effective as it has. So I think that we must energize those institutions to take up the task of resolving problems on that score and ensuring that we maintain the focus. Bless, I'm sure not long ago we discussed the same issue with the alliance of Sahelian states who had broken away from ECOWAS and others, and it has weakened ECOWAS. No two ways about it. If you had 15 nations and you have 12 now, the economic strength will be lower than what it was. And so we should make every effort. And that is why I saluted His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama for making efforts to try to bring them back. And I want to take this opportunity to salute and congratulate Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, on his virtuoso performance in the recent congregation of West African states here to mark this anniversary. I think it gives hope that there is a new vision in the horizon, that the economic integration dream we are talking about. Because take it or leave it, Africa can never, and I'm putting it on record, Africa can never develop through aid or through international economic researching such as we have the IMF. This IMF program can never develop us. At worst, you just think that it's like a pinprick on the back of an elephant. It will go unnoticed. The real substantive economic paradigm shift Africa needs to undertake is economic integration of the continent and the harnessing and harmonization of our resources for the benefit of the artisan. And there are people who pour all sorts of invective. I am not a supporter of Trump. I have more sympathy for the Democrats in the US than the Republicans, and by extension, President Trump. But President Trump is doing something that is appealing to the Americans. He says, make America great again, isn't it? And America for Americans. Whatever resources he sees, he wants to take everything back and give it to Americans. That's an inward-looking approach, of course, yes. But that is what the American people elected him. They elected him, and he thinks he has a mandate to fulfill the interests and aspirations of the American people. And so he does that. So why can't we also Africans say that Africa for Africans, as the legendary Osajifo, our leader, said, that our resources should also be used for the benefit of the African people and not put at the beck and call of external nations and others whose progress is a function of our poverty. Every single African resource that is appropriated and taken outside the continent for the benefit of Europe, America, and others is a function of the poverty, the deepening of the poverty and misery of our people here. The more resources you take outside there to go and create jobs in these countries, the lesser the jobs and the greater the poverty and the deeper our people sink into the throes of poverty. So for me, I think that as soon as it can take, Tanzania, Malawi must activate the mechanism of dialogue, negotiations. Sit down with their South African brothers and their Tanzanian brothers and see how whatever the problem that militates against the smooth trade between them, iron out, and then they can then stand on the threshold of working for greater economic benefit of their people. Poverty in Malawi, like here and other places, is an unenviable feat that we have intentionally or unintentionally chalked over the years, and we must do everything possible to integrate our economies and make life better for our people.
Thank you, Alhaji Efuseni, for that submission. Let me now come to Mr. Philip London.
Thank you, Bless. And again, good morning to myself. Our legendary Alhaji and our viewers. You know, this issue of the trade row that has broken out between South Africa and Tanzania and Malawi, it's unfortunate, as Alaji has so explained out. But you see, for me, I think the problem we must begin to address as Africans is that, yes, we have our resources. We keep saying that Africa is so blessed. We have the numbers of people, we have the resources. So why can't we just get our act together? We've gone for Africa Continental Free Trade. We've done everything. We had ECOWAS. But somehow or the other, we are not getting it right. I think we should go back to the source of the problem. Historical. Over 100 years ago, what was happening? The Western countries were fighting in Africa among themselves over African territory. We have forts and castles which are tourist attractions. But how did they come about? The Danes built some to defend themselves against the Portuguese. The Portuguese built some to... That was what was going on in Africa. All because of our resources. Then, they sat down one day, came together and said, you know something, let's stop fighting among ourselves. Let us divide the continent among us. Let's share it. Let's agree. So we stop fighting. Then after they agreed to share the continent, they said we have to ensure that these people, they are dangerous. If we give them a chance to overtake us, so let's keep them divided. So what have they done? They perpetually bring confusion among us. Political confusion, ethnic confusion. And you see, they fan it. Go to the root of the problems in Sudan, Congo, through their embassies, through their quote-unquote aid organizations, and they found all these things and keep us perpetually divided. I can't understand how, we cannot, you see, when the moment they see that we are making progress, then they come and cause confusion. I'm saying all this as a premise to what is going on now. And I think we should begin to identify that. Even our leaders should identify that and see that, look, we must definitely find a solution to this by working together, putting our differences aside, looking at our common destiny, our common objective, like the Europeans are doing. Yes. Sometimes disagreements come about. If disagreements come about, it is leadership that makes the difference. ECOWAS, we had problems because some countries went in a particular way. The way it started, it had the potential to totally disintegrate ECOWAS and indeed the sub-region. But what happened? Leadership came up. As a Mahama, they decided that, look, let me go and talk to these people. Look at the result. There was tariffs, if you remember. The Burkinabes banned trade with Ghana and Niger and all that. It happened. Leadership made the difference. Today, there's trade flowing. Today, we can see that there's some cooperation coming about. And it is that same situation that I feel so sorry we cannot see happening in South Africa. In the South Africa. SADC was a very strong economic group. Very strong. They were working well. We had the Economic Commission, East African East Africa Economic Commission. They were working so well. What happened? Seeds of discord was sown among them, disintegrated. And while it was there, they were flourishing. They were doing well. They were doing well. So you see, we must begin to realize that yes, these things happen. I cannot see how the difficulties that has emerged between Tanzania and its trading partners, South Africa, the biggest economy, and Malawi. One says I'm banning your agricultural products, the other one says I'm banning flour imports. Can't you resolve it? Can't you sit down together and resolve it? Look, and let me tell you something. South Africa, they have their own issues, and currently they are a unity government or whatever it's called. There are now serious fragmentations today. So the country is not in a cohesive state. They want to increase VAT by 0.5%. And it's almost disintegrating the government. Because one major political partner says, I will not agree. And these are the things that keep people divided. You lose concentration. You can't come together and agree on something small like this. 0.5% increase in VAT to help fund education and certain social interventions in the economy. One group says, no way, we will not agree. So when there's this type of distraction, then it festers into all these things coming up. So as a continent, we are not progressing. South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi, and the African Union, when these things start happening, we have our trade groupings inside the union. They should send ministries there to get them to start talking for the good of the people, because when these things fester, it will eventually blow out into a full-blown trade war. How can we have a trade war among ourselves in Africa? Yeah. It's unacceptable. When we, the same people, are talking about Africa Continental Free Trade Area. So how can this issue even come about? So the leaders must sit up, come together, and agree, rather than one minister giving an ultimatum, I'm giving you 48 hours to remove this. This one to say I also imposed. No. This is not the way to go. Maybe somebody is setting that very bad example from across the Atlantic on the other continent, so some of our people are copying it. No, that shouldn't be the way to go. We have always discussed issues. We have all accepted that free trade is the best avenue to develop our economies. We have the potential, we have the markets, our economies are developing, there's room for improvement. That is what we should be concentrating on, not fighting with each other. So it is most unfortunate that this thing has started. South Africa's unemployment rate is 32%. 32%.
It's very high.
Meanwhile, you go to South Africa, you see the advancement, the development, and yet, in spite of all that, 30, that is 1/3 of your population is unemployed. Homelessness is rising, and you see, all these things bring serious instability into the country. So, I would wish to see the leaders of South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi come together and sit around the table and resolve their problem for the good of their own people. Sometimes all these things are all based on some, because somebody did this and so I want to show him. No. At the end of the day, it is your people who suffer. You see, and I like the chicken, the analogy. Yeah. If the chickens don't appreciate that, look, our problem is the man who is carrying us in the basket.
But it's amongst ourselves.
If we don't understand that, sometimes the man can even decide to take a slightly longer route, so you pack yourself more. By the time he gets there, he's made his job even easier. That is exactly what we are doing. Exactly. So I believe that we have to make a strong point to make our people ourselves recognize where the problem is coming from. Identify that. When you identify that problem, then every other problem becomes insignificant. That petty disagreement, that petty quarrel is not an issue anymore. You see, so it is important that we begin to walk away from these petty squabbles, whether they are internal in countries or across borders, and look, leadership must emerge, stand out, and solve the problem, like has happened with the Sahelian situation. Today, thanks to good leadership, the doors are being opened, trade is going through, you know, and now there's even talk that the Sahelian people are coming back. This is what people want to hear, that we are not separating, but we are consolidating. We are coming back, we are working together, we are trading together, and we are growing together. You know, so this trade route that has broken out, I just hope that the leaders in South Africa, Tanzania, and Malawi, you know, because this it started gradually, and it's escalating. The fear is like man going to an all-out trade war. Everybody has their disadvantage. Look, like I say, yeah, Malawi is a small country, but South Africa too will suffer. Tanzania will suffer. Everybody suffers at the end of the day. You know, so they should come together, sort out their issues. They are all Greek nations. I'm sure. While agri products are being banned, South Africa is banning the import of. Tanzania is banned the import of flour and oil and those processed things from South Africa. But you have to go about it. Look at Burkina Faso. They have issues. They say a lot of our raw materials are going out. They have taken a decision that we're going to process our raw materials. They didn't say they are banning. Well, initially they did for political reasons, but they've seen wisdom and they are setting up industrialization or speeding up industrialization to address the problem. That is how problems are solved. You know, so I will really hope to see in the coming days leadership of these countries come together and try and resolve it in a way looking at the ultimate good of their people, you know, as the ultimate result of those discussions. So that's how it is.
Right. Thank you very much. Still to come, Parliament to revoke LI 2462 as soon as it resumes. Reverse Tokunu's suspension as far to Supreme Court. Health Minister begs striking Tamale Teaching Hospital doctors to resume work. Right. Let's proceed to our next topic for conversation. But let me again remind you that our text line is very active. Make sure you send your messages. I'll be more than pleased to hear from you. Also, the WhatsApp is active. Let me say a hearty good morning to Mr. Stephen Peng doing the watching all the way from WA. And yes, you mentioned the other time. And to all our cherished viewers across the length and breadth of the country. Well, the issues relating to
The hospital.
the
I thought we were going to go to the hospital first.
oh no, Galamsey and then
okay.
LI 2462 and then I mean we proceed to conversations about the hospital and the Chief Justice's removal. But the issues relative to Galamsey would never go away, and of course would continue to talk about it until stringent measures are employed to tackle the issue head on. Mr. Sami Jefi has come out to tell us that this administration, as soon as Parliament reconvenes, they would take steps to entirely revoking that legislative instrument that permits the mining in forest reserve. That was the pledge of the NDC government when it was in opposition, only for them to assume the reins of power and then have a different stance. But it appears that there have been calls to entirely, repeal that legislative instrument because of the devastation that this illegality has caused to our forest reserves, to our water bodies, and for that matter, there's been a lot of pressure on government to revoke it. It appears that this administration wants to listen to the Ghanaian people. Alhaji, why did the NDC government take a different position from what it told Ghanaians upon the resumption of office, and what has informed this new position of entirely revoking the legislative instrument?
Bless, I'm not too clear about your question regarding the NDC reneging on its promise. I don't think that's what has happened. I can appreciate that there were some very how do I put it? There were differences in the interpretations of certain actions that the party intended to take, some of which I believe were misconstrued to mean that the NDC was reneging on its pledge to, as it were, see to the revocation of the LI 2462 that you are talking about. I cannot be clearer in my mind to state that the NDC as a party and a party in government is committed, and especially under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, is committed to implementing those promises and pledges that it made to the good people of this country. And a number of which have already started. I'm sure Ghanaians are already aware that in less than the first 120 days, so much has been done. And I want to say that without any iota of hesitation, that the commitment to fight Galamsey and to bring this evil menace to a screeching halt cannot be diluted. I believe that unlike President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia, the MPP and others who had no iota of commitment to fight Galamsey, President Mahama's government is fully committed. And I'm sure, Bless, you can see the zealousness with which the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, is prosecuting the fight. To the fact that today, the chairman of the Ashanti Regional chairman of the MPP is on the back foot. Somebody, Philip, who came and was demonstrating vulgar opulence by showing Ghanaians the gold bars that he had on television set. Today he's running for cover. I've been reading some report that he has run out of the country, but I don't know yet. But this fight is telling you that the heat is on. And so, Bless, I can tell you without any iota of that, some of us in the NDC will make sure that the commitment His Excellency President Mahama gave are followed through, because we know that not only will President Mahama himself make sure that it's done, but that it will be seen to be done. I have always said it that if you want your party to be better, even when things are not done in a manner that is in consonance with the needs and aspirations and expectations of the people, get up and make sure that it is done. So even if you are a lone voice and you speak about it, it is in the supreme interest of your party. So I can tell you without any doubt that there are many groups in the NDC who want to see the NDC implement, especially those ones which ignore to the benefit of the good people of this country. I cannot, for my life, understand why mining will be allowed in a river. I can understand that, especially when you are deploying very crude methods. In the first case, we shouldn't even allow any mining in our rivers at all. Not to even talk about even if somebody has a refined method of mining in the river, there should be no mining at all in our rivers. Why? Bless forest reserves. Why should we wear mining in a forest reserve? Even our forests, according to reports, have dwindled more than 5 times in the last 25 years. We have lost substantial acreages of our forest cover. So what we should be doing even is to be getting even more forest reserves. So what pretext and justification can we allow mining in forest reserves? Absolutely. We should not. And so there should not be exceptions made to make amendments to the fact that you can allow some degree of mining in some forest reserves or in some rivers. Absolutely. And I am one of the members of the NDC who are irrevocably opposed tampering with this instead of a revocation, we are talking about an amendment. We should not. The good people of this country want that LI to go, and so having made this a pledge and a commitment, I think that we should live through that commitment, and I believe that it is a good thing to do. When we do that, number one, look, can you imagine, Philip, the 13 rivers, as we speak, 13 rivers were almost declared unusable, polluted to unprecedented levels. Okay, not by the fact that they look like coffee and Milo or whichever you take, but even if you see the mineral content, if you do the chemistry of the water, the pollution levels are in thousands of how do they measure them? Million something. Okay, in excess of thousands. So even when the water clears, we still have to deal with the mercury, the cyanide, and the other dangerous chemicals that are embedded in the water. So the Ghana Water Company may be able to use alum and use other things. But what about those dangerous things that are there? And maybe people who live far away sometimes think many of these rivers flow into the Wager Dam and to other dams that we in the urban areas in Accra and others rely on for water. So we are not immune by any stretch. We don't think that you are not living in a galamsey prone area. So you are insulated from the vigorous and dangers of those kinds of heavily polluted rivers. We are all at risk. And in any case, sometimes I was telling somebody, you took a bottle, so this one there, you can be contaminated because he sees that the bottled water is very clear. I said, you are looking at the turbidity. It is not only about turbidity, it is about the content. If there's cyanide in what you are drinking, do you know? Or mercury, you don't know. So I think that I for my life, I'm happy to hear voices coming to the fore that we should do everything possible. And when Parliament resumes, I think that steps will be taken to get the LI annulled on the floor of Parliament in the House, and then I'm sure that action can then be taken, because we should not leave any doubt in anybody's mind that the government of His Excellency President Mahama and the NDC are irrevocably committed to fighting this galamsey menace, and no tinkering will be done. The moment you begin to talk like, oh, you want to leave some leeway for some, you are diluting that commitment. And I believe that the way we have started, the public has appreciated and applauded the government for the manner in which it has started the galamsey fight. And I think that we cannot retreat. We must only make further progress. And I want to salute the minister. I've heard some threats, a lot of threats being issued and others. The Gombers have a saying, when you hold the vulture's feet, you don't fear physics again. You understand? So we have taken the bull by the horns. It's like catching a tiger's tail. If you can't even hold it, but you can also leave it. Because when you leave it, you'll be devoured. So we must take every step. We have started the fight. We cannot go back. We must finish the job. And finishing the job, I believe that Ghanaians as a people are solidly behind us in the bid to eliminate this nasty canker and preserve the life of our people. Yes, why? Minerals are important to our national development. But what is that development meant for? The development is meant for the people. So if you finish killing all the people through getting them to drink contaminated water, I think that is a very unfortunate spectacle. And let's not leave any message to anybody that it's possible to tinker. I am coming back to London's famous theory. His 1 gallon, his 1 gallon theory. They catch galamseyers and make them drink part of the galamsey water they are polluting. One galamsey, 1 gallon of polluted water. and I'm sure that we'll begin to make this. And I think we should keep the fight on. Let's not send any conflicting signal to anybody that we have some dual approach. We have a very uniform approach to fight the Galamsey menace, and we should not tinker with that commitment. I think that we should endeavor to even plant more trees than we have now. So issues about even opening up forest reserves for mining should not.
Right. I'm quoting Sammy James. He says there were legal issues as to whether or not it should be amended or revoked, because there's a school of thought that revoking it could lead to a certain vacuum, and that what had to be cured was the discretion or power given to the president to grant mining leases for people to mine in protected forest zones. Then there was another school of thought that said, look, let's revoke the entire law. Even if we get a vacuum, we can come up with a new LI.
New legislation.
But the LI 2462 is poisonous. It should go in its entirety. Those who made that argument have won. We are listening. We are a listening government, he stated. LI 2462, enacted in November 2022, allows mining in forest reserves under the condition of national interest, in quotes, sparking outrage among environmentalists, civil society organizations, and the public. Critics argue that the law undermined previous protections, such as the 2018 environmental guidelines, which barred mining in globally significant biodiversity areas like the Atiwa Range and Tunnel of Finn Forest Reserves. Within a year of its passage, 22% of Ghana's forest areas were reportedly allocated for mining leases, intensifying deforestation, water pollution, and biodiversity loss. It appears that it was an intentional acts to, for the want of a better word, rape our environment. So let me hear from you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add this. You see, Parliament is a master of its own act.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that even if there's a lacuna in the law anywhere, Parliament can enact new laws. Parliament can always enact, can even revisit the Minerals and Mining Act and look at all range of legislations in the mining sector. So I don't see where that problem is. We can always go back there and cure whatever
there is
mischief or whatever lacuna exists in the law.
Right.
And repair it. We cannot look.
Right. Mr. Lande.
Yes, this law, when it was passed in 2022, it was one of the most unpopular laws to be passed in this country. The uproar from the broad mass of Ghanaians, civil society, everywhere, was so loud, yet it was passed. You see, it was actions like that, first of all, apart from the fact that it made the government that initiated it even more unpopular, but it was one of those actions that was leading to a lot of, especially young people, losing confidence in the political system. How can people who know better, honorable ladies and gentlemen, go and sit inside Parliament and pass it a law when we are complaining? They talk about it, and we see it daily on television. The distraction going on, it was unimaginable. Then there was hope when it was heard that then candidate President Mahama had indicated that should he be given the mantle, he would revoke that law. Hey, the next thing I was heard, yes, are you also going to do those things? Have you also started?
No, we won't do that.
Well, I'm just telling you what Ghanaians felt, and that is the truth. Oh, my friend. So, well, but you see, the other thing too was that President Mahama was still enjoying a lot of goodwill. So although that commentary had come out, it hadn't entirely switched like it was before.
Yeah.
It's like people are giving him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, let us see what will happen.
You live up.
Now we are hearing that it is going to be a total revocation. I would have wished to have heard it from no other person than maybe the minister. But be that as it may, it has been said. I'm just going to hope, like I can say for millions of Ghanaians, that this will be carried through. and it will be carried through with the urgency and seriousness that Ghanaians are expecting. Because what is going on is criminal. It's criminal. Look, apart from the fact that the rivers are being polluted, they are actually, and they are mining and pouring chemical, they are actually diverting rivers, damming. They are tackling the sources of the rivers. So in short, they are trying to destroy that whole water system. And it is being done with such impunity. I saw an incident captured on social media where some damming they had done of a river to divert it gave way and was washing away excavators and the mudslide that was coming, burying excavators. Look, this matter is something that must be dealt with. I must comment that yes, some measures are being taken and there appears to be a seriousness. This total revocation would further assure Ghanaians that a certain seriousness is being taken in this matter. You know, but it is important that we deal with it ruthlessly. We should deal with it. You see, we should apply some. That's why I'm happy I've got a supporter here. When they catch you in Ghana, say drink 1 gallon before they ask you questions. When you are happy drinking that gallon,
I'm sure the human rights activists will.
Oh, they themselves will invite them to go and drink. No. Look, and look. You see, all jokes aside, some leaders on our continent, they have achieved some results using some measures, even within the constitutional framework. It is how you sell it to your people and how you get them to buy into it. Yes, there'll be those voices who you know, some people are planning demonstration at the end of the month or so against Galamsey. Yes, fine, they want to do demonstration. But what is their sole aim? Are they doing it just to cause confusion for the government, or are they seriously trying to, you know, let us put these things aside. Let the government show that it is fighting this matter. Come up with these things. You know, the seriousness. And the moment you see there's a small lull, because apart from everything, when and you see, Galamsey is fundamentally a criminal activity. There's small-scale mining and there's Galamsey. Galamsey, what is Galamsey? Galamsey is a process where people go and dig up river bodies, go into forest areas, and total environmental degradation. Small-scale miners are controlled by the Minerals Commission. They have their rules and regulations, their processes that they have to follow, and everything. They are okay. But the Galamseyers, they are just, you know, somebody will say, oh, my company has quit the area. We are no longer mining in the forest reserve. But the company looks aside and allows people to go and totally degrade that concession, and they are buying the gold from them. Then you tell me your company is not doing it. So if the government doesn't show seriousness and the excavators pass through police checkpoints all the way to the site. An excavator is not a motorbike.
Can hide in your pocket.
A motorbike that you can, a bicycle that yes. you can use some footpath and send it there.
Drive. They have to be carried even on a low loader.
You know what I'm saying?
Big truck and sent to the place.
Yeah. And you know those people to cut their costs, they'll pack about 2 or 3 on one low loader. They'll pack it in a way, they'll just so they all fit inside, then they'll carry it through with escort. Huh? No.
Escort.
And then we should let people realize that, look, if these people say they are interested in helping this country develop, how much is the cost of an excavator? Yeah. They should use it to buy tractors and combine harvesters and farm and show us that yes, we are serious, and let the government give them incentives. Let government praise the president to go and say, this man used to do galamsey. Today he has changed his heart and he's farming. I have come to congratulate you.
Yes.
That is leader. It is these actions that will change situations. Sure. But if we sit and do it a bureaucratic process, it will not get anywhere. You know, and you see, if the government doesn't show commitment, people will take advantage. So I am all for it. If the government says there's going to be a total repeal, well, I'm happy to hear that. And we are being told that they're waiting for Parliament to resume. I'll be looking out. Exactly.
When it comes to
exactly,
we all have a united voice.
Yes, and you see, our politics should go in the way that when the parliamentarians are discussing it, let us watch and listen to what they all say. It's not about this party or that party. What did that man say? Yeah, exactly. That is where our politics should get to. We should hold people accountable. You know, people shouldn't hide under the cover of a political party and do what they... No.
You see, but having been a member of parliament for a number of years, I want to say that the weakness of the legislative body is a function of how much they can stand up. I'm talking of the leadership.
Yes.
To the machinations of the executive.
Yes.
And the political party.
Yes.
More often than not, it is not members of parliament who initiate those legislations.
I agree.
They come from the executive.
Yeah.
And sometimes from their party, even when they are in opposition.
Yeah.
So if the party wants to foist that obnoxious policy on the leadership of the party to implement, and they don't have the strength to fight it, they just say that they could talk to it and bring it to parliament, and you see they support it. So it's sometimes the weakness
of the system.
The system.
Yeah, but
the nature of the party cracking a 3-line whip to make sure that any MP who does not support that motion or that policy in parliament will be suspended. And so as members of parliament, they are petrified into inaction.
Yes.
They are scared stiff.
Yes.
That if you oppose it openly and you are identified, the party can suspend you. They can impose sanctions on you.
Yes.
And that in so doing jeopardize your political career.
Yes.
This is where, as Ghanaians, we ought to look at it.
I agree. I agree, 100%. But at the same time too, we have seen, and I'll use his own example. Yes, you can hear a lone voice that will say, we are going this way, but I think that alone. Yes, you have an obligation. And the party too can play games by putting you in a certain sensitive position, so you have to be careful how you know, yes. But still, you can stand up and you'll be respected for that principle. That yes, okay, well, but I think you make that point. And you see, the more we do that, the more we strengthen that type of leadership, even at that level. You see, and this is how we because even when you do that, you put pressure on the people to rethink. Maybe they intend to go about it but they will now also begin to rethink how they will go about it. At the end of the day, the end result might be a little better than, So that one, we have to do it. You see, and I mean, we've seen people, lone voices in parliament, both sides at various times. It may not be all the time, but on particular issues, So it helps. And it helps to, as our political system is going up, we must always remember that at the end of the day, the politicians are accountable to the people who put them there. Yes.
Right. Right. Let me do some messages. Our viewers have sent a number of them. Good morning, my honorable panel speakers. Please let us all join hands to tell the president of the land that he should just say no. Okay. Okay, the message, Mama Nancy, your message is not so clear. Kindly put it together and share with me. MPP excavators can fly more than guinea fowl. Baba from Sagnarigo in Tamale. Okay, thank you, Baba, for your message. Good morning, host. It's sad for the Ghana Medical Association to hold the nation to ransom anytime they go wrong, as if they are above the law. GMA only finds their voice when NDC is in power, because when MPP thugs attacked doctors at the same hospital, they didn't strike. GMA didn't go on strike under Kufuor, but resurrected as soon as Professor Mills took power. They must stop playing politics with our health and learn to be responsible. To say the minister blew the matter out of proportion is rather reckless and unbecoming of a health worker who is expected to save lives. Okay, thank you. This one here also says that, good morning to you all. Galamsey shouldn't be countenanced by us. It's a canker we must all fight with our might. Must underline obligatory, all and sundry. It is hazardous and negative. It has negative effect on our water, environment, and aquatic. Okay. Kudos to Honorable Kofi Amabwa, Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, and my intellectual brilliant Honorable Kofi Akunoko, MP for Evaluate Ajomoro. Joe Yemi Blee, eco-conscious citizen, Axim. Pan-Africa TV is one of the best TV stations. Okay, thank you very much for the compliment. Yusuf in Accra, good morning to you. Many thanks for doing the watching. He says, good morning, Koku. The promise was to revoke that bad law. The current momentum must be sustained to kill this galamsey. Okay, thank you, Yusuf, for your message. This one here says that, good morning, Bless. I think calling for the revocation of the LI-2462 is the best to fight this canker. My regards to Sanarigo Brichina ABA Fuseni. This is coming from IB Sakasaka Tamale Central. Okay, thank you so much for your message. Abbas Amogobo, Offensive President, he says Mama is right for suspending the CJ. The CJ was thinking about the MPP more than Ghana. Okay, thank you very much. This one here from Alaji Hamza says that, good morning, my brother. Functionaries of the MPP and the micro minority group in Parliament should tell us where President Mahama went wrong in all these. President Mahama, for God's sake, swore an oath to defend and to protect the Constitution of Ghana, and that is exactly what he's doing. And for God's sake, they should stop throwing dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. The Chief Justice has not been sacked, but rather she has been suspended. She will be back to take her position if she's found innocent. But this act of hypocrisy and double standards on the part of the MPP must stop. When it was President Nana Addo, we should allow institutions to work, but today the narrative is different. They should give us a break. We have a country to govern. Two more messages, then we proceed to our next topic for conversation. Okay, this one here says, good morning. The dismissal of the Chief Justice is as lawful as it was with Charlotte to say, for no one is above the law. The unanimous FC has done more harm than good to Ghana under the MPP. They outlawed our birth certificates to help MPP rig elections. They aided Nana to vandalize embassies, bungalows, ministries, schools, and passport offices in favor of a cathedral. They aided EC to disenfranchise Santru Kofi Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe in 2020 in Aflao. They shut down the courts and birth and death registry to stop us from getting birth sets for the voters' ID. Enough is enough. Final one, final message I'll read, then we proceed. This is the way God exposes bad people. It's clear to Ghanaians now that CJ Tokono was put there by the MPP government to carry out their bad deeds. MPP's actions and inactions are rather worsening the CJ's case for her. From James K. Saba. Okay, thank you very much. Let's proceed and visit that story about the Tamale Teaching Hospital, what happened there a few days ago, and consequently the boss there had to be fired and somebody put in place. But the doctors there in Tamale have responded. They have not taken this decision by government or the ministry likely, and they have decided to lay down their tools. The minister is asking them to pick their tools back and then get back to work. But this whole turn of events, and I'm starting with you, Mr. Philip Landon, this whole turn of events at the Tamale teaching. And I've seen a lot of people share their experiences at the Tamale teaching hospital in regards to how they lost their loved ones in a clear case of negligence, what the lawyers would call res ipsa loquitur and all of that. But could this whole issue have been managed better?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer. One, I do not know enough of what actually happened when the minister got there. All I know is what I have gathered, like many people, from the various reports that have come. So what I would say will be based on that limited information I have, and also what I know of the hospital situation generally. I'm not too sure I've been to Tamale Hospital before, so I cannot be specific about the situation. But the things that are being said, first of all, what is the issue? The issue was that, or from what the information we are getting, is that the minister went on an unannounced visit to the hospital in the exercise of his duties and found certain things and raised issues with the management of the hospital. That is not the first time the minister has visited a hospital. I've heard of him visiting one or two other hospitals. One in Accra, one I think in Kumasi or so. So yes, that is in order. And it's a credit to him, the seriousness with which he's tackling his job. Now, first I heard that the problem had to do, first of all, it is said that a patient had died as a result of some negligence of the hospital authorities. So that was there. I don't know whether he went there primarily because of that, or he went there as part of his normal duties and found out that the patient had died. Then it turns out that there was a heated exchange between him and a doctor. Whether that doctor was the head of the chief executive of the hospital, or he was a doctor in the hospital, or whatever. But this incident apparently was happened at the emergency unit of the hospital. You know. So the minister, then there was this heated exchange between not just the minister, but also the member of parliament, our own Sweeney. And it's, escalated.
Yeah.
Then the minister sacked the chief executive of the hospital. As I'm saying, I don't know whether it was the chief executive who had the conversation with the minister or whatever. But the chief executive was sacked. And he was replaced. All that in principle is not wrong. I mean, if the minister goes and sees his ultimate, he has ultimate responsibility.
Yeah.
Because a situation can occur in the hospital, and we can ask for the dismissal of the minister for health.
Yeah.
So, he bears ultimate responsibility.
Yeah.
So if he has gone on a visit and found that it was necessary to fire the chief executive, there is nothing wrong with that. So that is the principle. But if there's the specifics of the situation are not entirely that, then it becomes an issue. First of all, there are some institutional challenges that the hospitals face. I heard there was reference to a toilet facility that the minister wasn't happy, was locked. And an explanation was being given. I'm referring to the limited information I have. That, a toilet has been provided elsewhere that patients, and the minister says, how can you allow patients to travel that distance to use these conveniences when you have one here that is locked? Then there's explanation is being given that there's no water. We don't have water. We have problems with water. But your generated funds, can't you use that to buy water? Then I heard an explanation that, look, we are buying 4 tankers of water to cater for even certain limited functions of the hospital. And that is coming out of our own resources. So there's this backwards and forwards that gets heated. And then the ultimate is what we had. But the fact of the matter is that, first of all, it's in principle, our medical personnel are under extreme stress. It is a fact of life. So when they have problems with power supply issues, water supply issues, it compounds their situation. It is not a secret that in many situations, when patients come to the hospitals, what adds to the stress of the medical personnel is that sometimes the patients don't have the resources, and some of these personnel have to dig into their own pockets to help out these people. So the situation is very serious. So I would have wished that the minister would have taken his time and, yes, calmly investigate the matter before he takes action. You see, I do not know whether what he saw was sufficient enough to convince him to fire the chief executive. Yes, if somebody hasn't done his job, fire him and I will support you. But if that man has his hands tied behind his back, that one, I think you should look at the situation again. Now, what even... So that is the position, you see. And now, the medical association, they had a meeting, and they said that they're going on strike because they're not happy with the way the minister handled the situation. And so, apart from the emergency situations that and the patients in the wards, they are not going to attend to any outpatients. So it's the patients that are suffering. So they demand an apology from the minister. The minister, the last I heard, I don't know what happened between the last time I heard, which was earlier this morning and now, sent a message to them, appealing to them to come to work. A nice appeal, which fell short of an apology. Look, when people's lives are at risk, egos shouldn't come in. The minister can step up, talk to the doctor. Doctors, you know something? Under the situation, I was very unhappy. That is the fact of the matter. I think maybe I went a bit too far. Okay, the man remains suspended. I appeal to you, come to work. That's human engagement. You issue the statement. That doesn't even said by him. But that is what the leadership, what your person would do to make a difference in the situation. So I'll urge the minister to take the initiative to solve that problem with the doctors and medical staff for the good of the people of Tamale. You see? And I'm not going to, people have their various temperaments. My good brother, Suhini, being the member of parliament, when he got there, it's possible he also lost his temper, and that will have added to the situation and infuriated and worsened it. In all these situations, it is how it is handled that at the end of the day, cool heads must prevail. And we should look ultimately at the patients. And I will urge the minister, my friend, yes. And you see, another thing, he should remember, you fired the man, and then you immediately replace him. And who did you replace him with? I am not questioning his competence. But apparently he's supposed to have been a parliamentary candidate of the NDC. People say, oh, so when you were coming, you already had in mind somebody. It worsens the situation. It was totally wrong for him to have taken that kind of action. At least suspend the man, but you come, no, people will suspect you. That may not have been your intention, but that is the fact of the matter. So he has erred in that judgment that he made. So I would urge him. You are the minister. He has demonstrated, while he was a ranking member, his interest in, and during his vetting, I listened to him, I watched him. I see his commitment, yes. And I'm sure His Excellency President Mahama did the right decision by choosing him to be Minister for Health. But this is a situation where he must look at the situation again and look at the patients, ultimate beneficiaries or sufferers of those actions, and then do what is necessary to resolve the matter.
Right. Thank you. Alaji, let's hear from you. This is your enclave. You know, Tamale is home to you. I'm sure perhaps you may even have, you know, received some form of health care from the Tamale Teaching Hospital. What's happening on the ground?
There are several examples of what happened, which have happened in the past, of instant dismissals of chief executives. And then under the last MPP administration, as soon as they came into power, a number of those kinds of incidents happened, and chief executives were cleared. Now, let me say, like you rightly pointed out, I think it was a surprise visit that the minister had, and I'm sure following on the heels of one he had done at Ridge Hospital, where he stumbled on some very shocking revelations. And I think that is how ministers ought to do, to find out the real distance under their ministry. Look, if the minister had served notice that he was coming on so and so date, trust me, desperate efforts will be made to put certain things in order, just to put a shine on the debt, so that when the minister leaves again, the road will continue. So I want to commend Honorable Kando, Minta Kando, for the strategy he's using to unearth things in the health sector. That is when you see the true state of the functioning of those institutions. So he comes there and but before that, you have mentioned the presence of Sweden. It's constituent.
I know. Yes, I know.
Life was lost.
I know.
And take it from me, as a member of parliament, when these things happen, your constituents put a lot of pressure on you to help to get to the bottom. Because sometimes you may even have to come to appeal. And I know in Tamale, when those things happen, they threaten to march on the institution. And sometimes you have to take the intervention of the member of parliament and others to appeal to them for calm while he finds a way to navigate the issue. So if he's able to do that and they come to the hospital, and in the process of trying to ascertain what went on, if you have somebody who can raise his voice and say certain things to raise the temperature of the discussion, you can imagine how it will inflame tempers. And take it or leave it. I'm not saying that a minister is a demigod or something, but when you have your minister come to your place to look at issues, at least he deserves some courtesy and some decorum. So even if you think that he has not said something which is right, there is a manner in which you would approach this and show some civility and find a way of getting the issue resolved later. But I'm sure that it didn't sit well. Now, Philip, you know that basic things that are supposed to protect life and property, in fact, this place in the hospital, their life. If you are a chief executive officer of a hospital where even common ventilators are not working, and you come every day, and revenue is being generated every day. Take note, Tamale Hospital is the largest in the north. Tamale Teaching Hospital is the largest in the north. And when you go there on a daily basis, you see the patronage of the hospital. It's huge. So nobody can tell me sitting here that even the revenue Tamale Teaching Hospital raises could not have fixed even some of those basic things. Ventilators. Okay? Small things. After the MRI, those are bigger machines in which you can. But fundamental ones were not done. And so the minister comes and finds out that this is the answer. But why even can't you as chief executive ensure that if it's small things that these are fixed? And then it generates into an argument. Why do you want the minister to feel? You see, they often say that the man who is guilty and wants to avoid defeat converts the argument into a fight. So that he will find a way of defending himself in the face of this. So, obviously, I think, yes, I'll be the last to say that maybe the minister didn't out in a way that maybe somebody felt unhappy about. But what was that? What led to that this thing from the minister? If I'm a minister and I find out that look, you could have done certain things, even to save life. This guy's life could have been saved if a ventilator was working. And how much did it cost you to fix that ventilator? You are chief executive supervising the operations of the hospital, and you, under your watch, you failed to take the requisite action to get those things fixed, and as a result of that, life is lost. How can I be happy with you? Why should I pretend that you have done a good work? I will not. And so, look, let's not under the guise of politics and others think that, oh, maybe if the decision is taken by a minister, then it was a political decision. No, it was not necessarily. It was not a political decision. And in fact, I think the minister went there days before the president, and we all know the president has the authority to fire and appoint chief executive. So it happened this, after which, even in the wisdom of the president, he made a new appointment to the Tamale Teaching Hospital chief executive position. So it's not that on the spur of the moment that the minister just fired him and then asked that a new person be appointed. No, it didn't happen like that.
That's how the news came.
But no, I think that is not properly placed. I think the incident happened after some time, and then some period after the appointment was made. But I can tell you that the Tamale Teaching Hospital has a myriad of problems. And I think that whoever is the chief executive of that area has a very, very important and urgent task to deal with it. One of the things that also came up, in fact, was the mismanagement of funds. As I've told you already, Tamale Teaching Hospital is one of the largest health facilities in the entire 5 northern regions. And it generates substantial revenue. And so you ask yourself, in addition to funds that government also makes available, so you ask yourself, what are those monies used for? I can bet my last bottom CD, if a forensic audit is done, things that you hear, you'll be shocked. And I have also heard stories about prominent persons in those hospitals having their own clinics, where some of those machines and others eventually find their way, and the hospital itself doesn't have. So they come and they refer them to their clinics.
They extort huge monies from them.
Where they take you. So they will just tell you that nursing machine which is not working in the hospital, if you go to somebody's this and there, it's working. So you go there and they are using it pari passu to make money at the expense of the people. So if you see all this and you put them together, and you are a minister prepared, you will be angry.
Oh, yeah.
How people are treated.
For that one, I agree 100%.
Exactly. So these are some of the nuances. A lot of the information may not be known to the public, and so because they manipulate information and put what they want you to hear, you can get it, and then maybe instead of eliciting the large sympathy for what the minister is doing, you may want to go after the minister, that he is heavy-handed, he's capricious, and others. But my brother, wait until you wear his shoe.
Hospital chief executives, one person, when we talk many years back, when you talk about government hospitals were always deplorable.
Yeah.
And the biggest example of a deplorable government hospital was the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The place was so unhygienic, the place was so bad. Kolebu was,
you go there, even washroom in a hospital, which should be sanitized and proper. It's a breeding ground for disease.
You see,
so how much does it take to put a washroom in order?
And the healthiest,
how much money do you generate?
The healthiest
come on,
people in Kolebu Hospital in those days was the rats. You see them, they're like this. Oh yes, and they walk freely. They walk around like they're
Oga.
Then came a chief executive, Dr. Frimpong Boachi.
Yeah.
You see, that's why I say I like some of the unorthodox medicine.
Yes.
He has some of his biggest headache from among the medical staff.
Yes,
That's
some of them.
true.
Yes.
But he transformed the place.
Yeah. That's
What?
what I get.
Yeah.
Simple thing. He transformed Kolebu.
There are people even selling coffins at the entrance of.
And you know what I even like about the coffin people? When you're going to sack them, the people said, you know, the way they do things, when the people are coming to buy the coffee, the people, they are already drunk. So the whole is a very noisy and violent environment. They said they heard that he sent notices, letters that they should go. They said he should come. So he told them that he's coming there. So the people said, he sent a message. The people said, he says he's coming. We are waiting for him. So that day they drank their appetitive, waiting for Dr. Frimpong. They tied red band, the whole place, and they were drumming and dancing. Then Professor Frimpong came. When he came, he was in the red band. When the people saw him, now they were confused.
This band is also a red band.
Then they said to him, we don't want to, I agree with you, you know, you shouldn't go. He said, but this is a hospital, not a market.
Understand the MPP's position on this issue. What exactly do they lose if the Chief Justice is removed from office? They are Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. We warned them when they removed the EC boss over mere procurement issues, but they didn't listen. When ex-President Kufuor took office, he didn't sack the EC boss or the Chief Justice. Same with the late Professor Mills and President Mahama. But Akufo-Addo and Bawumia broke that tradition, and now it's coming back to haunt them. Suglo says, good morning, Bless, and your panel, especially Alaji ABF, saying good morning to Mr. Philip London as well. It has always been a pleasure watching your topic discussions. I want to commend the NDC more, especially His Excellency JDM and the Lands Minister, for putting their foot on the ground and fighting Galamsey. We don't need the LI 2462, so it must be totally repealed and not amended. It should not be an empty promise of I've put my presidency on the line and finally perish all our forest reserves and water bodies. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Suglo. Patrick Ingetia says, good morning. Good morning, Patrick. I hope you're fine. Obama Nations, I'm doing the monetary live inside what came. My father is in your studio, Honorable Alaji B. Husseini. I'm enjoying your program. Keep it up. In my regards to Honorable Alasan Suini as Deputy Minister. Okay, all right, okay. Thank you very much for your message. Kojo Asempa says, this is the most popular morning show. Okay, all right, thank you. Komensa says, Dome Kwabinga. Okay, all right. Komensa from Dome Kwabinga constituency. Where's your message? I hope I find it and read it to you. GMA refused strike action against Galamsey due to the health interest of patients, according to them. Today they are striking. Ricardo from Bechim sent this one. Okay, interesting.
I remember when they wanted to declare state of emergency and put pressure on the government, they opted out. They refused. I think the nurses and others. Can you imagine this?
Okay. Host, good morning, Africa TV. This discussion come and see Kufuridia Hospital. Okay, it appears that this is a ubiquitous problem. It's an omnipresent problem in almost all the hospitals. I went to a hospital one time and both male and female were using the same washroom. On this Tamale hospital issue, in my opinion, the doctor should not apologize under these circumstances because his action was people-centered. The minister, I'm sure he meant the minister. Let's ask if the doctor's actions is about the people, rather about themselves and their ego. To me, if their actions continue, they should fire all of them and replace them with retired doctors and young ones that are still coming to serve as an example going forward.
That won't solve the problem.
Yeah, of course, it won't.
You should have a dialogue and solve it.
Of course, that won't solve the problems. With regards to TTH, I also lost my daughter due to the negligence of duty in 2011. And Dramani Fusaini sent this one. Good morning, Pan-African TV. I always watch your station. My regards to the staff and panelists. Fusaini Dramani inside Salaga. Thank you, and very sorry to hear that. I mean, the issue about negligence again happening. Right. Good morning, blessing panelists. What the man said, I also supported that it is human rights. That human rights activists must be made to drink 1 gallon each of the polluted water containing cyanide before.
1 gallon, say 1 gallon. It's catching up.
Right. The minister's visit was timely. The hospital was a big mortuary for the past years. Only a heartless person will will be against the intervention of the minister. Why do those medical personnel, why were they mute for all these years? Means they were happy about that situation. Only an enemy of progress to the northern region will be happy about the lackadaisical attitude of the health personnel in that hospital. Okay. Good morning. Looking at the rate at which our water bodies have been desecrated, any person or company found to be engaging in illegal mining should be brought to book. So tell Akonta Mining to go to court and prove their innocence in the face of the numerous evidence of their culpability in Galamsey, as shown not only by this administration, but their own lands minister as well. As Professor Frimpong Boateng, accountability will definitely be exacted from them. Okay, thank you very much for your message. And Nana Kwame, you sent this one. Thank you very, very much. Okay, Adam Kola from Tamale Central. I hope now Ghanaians are happy for the removal of the Chief Justice. JM, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. We have just a little, I think a little over 10 minutes. We can briefly have that conversation about the Chief Justice and the recent updates. I think that there's another petition against her, but then Honorable Asafwa has decided to, seek an injunction in court on the removal or on the suspension, actually, not even the removal, on the suspension of the Chief Justice. One would want to ask, why does the New Patriotic Party have such a huge interest in this CJ matter? We understand also that there's going to be a demonstration in the coming days, slated for, I think, May 9 or May 5th or so, where they are going to protest against the removal of the Chief Justice. And if you look at they said the NPP and some other political parties. I don't know the some other political parties yet. I'm waiting to see the political parties. But briefly, let's do some 4 minutes each. Mr. Philip Landon.
Well, first of all, as to why the NPP is doing what they're doing, I don't know, as I'm not there, so I can't say. The issue with the Chief Justice, well, for me, I'll talk about it about the fundamental principle of it. Political appointees, whether you are the minister or whoever, you're always under a lot of scrutiny, especially with the way the proliferation of our media, etc. Every action you take is going to be, interrogated thoroughly. So even when you take actions inadvertently, just like the issue of this health minister we're talking about, and the coincidence of the president's appointment, somebody might look at it and say that, well, maybe this is what the minister was intended to do from the very beginning. Meanwhile, that was probably never the situation. So that is the problem that all political appointees face. The issue of your actions being looked at with some degree of suspicion. So the onus, in my position, my opinion, and something I fervently believe in, is that when you hold such a position, yours is to endeavor to go about your actions in such a way that you act as professionally and apolitically as possible. So that there will not be a certain prejudice against certain actions that you may have taken, even in good faith or along professional lines. The way you would manage your situation, communicate around it, etc. Even your body language in certain situations can let people understand that, oh, this man is just doing his job, or woman is doing her job. But unfortunately, some people have conducted themselves in ways that have. Yes, other Chief Justices have had petitions. Let's take the case of Georgina Wood. There was a petition against her. It didn't hold water. But she had also demonstrated herself in such a way that even the president at the time, President Kufuor, was afraid of her. You know what I'm saying? And she was respected because she demonstrated, and I remember the Attorney General at the time, Dugati, said, hey, that's what Chief Justice Georgina Wood, please, I don't want to have any problems. You know what I'm saying? She had earned her respect. So, you see, when you behave like that, and even if you do something, somebody, it's, oh, we know this person, he didn't do it with any. But unfortunately, when the appointing authority, because of the way they themselves have behaved, I'm talking specifically about President Akufo-Addo, the way he had behaved, when he appoints you in such a position, already people are suspicious of you.
He himself conducts himself in a manner.
You see, so unfortunately, already it's like you are in a bad situation, you know. So it's unfortunate that she finds herself in this position. But for me, it is a situation that should advise all appointees, when you are going about your duties and you are performing your functions, go about it in such a way that, of course, there will always be people who will want to read into your actions, no matter how transparent or well-intended they are. But you must also endeavor to do things in such a way as to dispel these things. Because, yes, people are talking about it. People are already accusing now the NDC wants to remove the electoral commissioner. But already there's a perception about the way she handled herself. Afajam was electoral commissioner.
Yeah.
He was an electoral commissioner.
He went through all government.
He went through all government and he faced challenges, and even the way he managed those challenging situations. I sincerely believe that at the end of the day, it boils down to the individual. You know, so I think that it is just a lesson for appointees to learn from. That's all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, TV station.
Alhaji Ibe Hussaini would wrap up the conversation for us on this matter.
Bless. First and foremost, on the hospital matter, let me say that they are very conscientious, hard-working doctors at the Tamale Teaching Hospital. I've had time with that number when my constituents have been involved in this and gone to the hospital, and I've seen how they've responded to the call for duty. So there are many of them there who are really hardworking and conscientious, have done a very good job. So let it not look like somebody is passing some sweeping judgment and condemnation on. No, I think we must straighten that record. But you see, yes, there's a saying that if you sell yourself for half a penny, they'll buy you for nothing. That is what my brother Philip has just indicated. Holding yourself in a certain limelight and image. I've always said that there is always a tomorrow. So if you are entrusted with any public office, know that accountability, if it doesn't take place today, will catch up with you tomorrow. So no doubt about that. And so in the actions that people undertake, and I've been saying that the judiciary is so powerful that sometimes they hold the lives of people in their hands.
Yeah.
And that is why there is a bounden duty on them to prosecute justice without malice and aforethought, and do justice to all manner of people. And that will stand them in test for tomorrow when the judgment is being passed. I want to even, as Philip is here, he say when the madfish tells you that crocodile has belly ache, you can't deny it. He's come from the underbelly of the beast. So he can tell about why are MPP people head over heels falling to defend public officials and others who are themselves capable of defending themselves and accounting for their stewardship. Why are they at the forefront to mount a defense? Can you defend the Chief Justice more than she can defend herself? Why does it have to take the MPP? So you see, when you do these things, you see, I've been saying it, bless, when you squat, everybody is erect and you alone you squat and they find something on the ground. It's because it's in the morning, I can't do that. The tendency that you deposited that in there is very high. So clearly, why would MPP be falling over themselves to be defending their Chief Justice, to be defending other public officials against whom allegations are made? Are they not capable of defending themselves? Or they are weeping more than the bereaved? Because, and I've said it many times with that number, that when you go to somebody's funeral, or you are at a funeral of your relative and somebody comes there and weeps more than you, the owners of the funeral, you must be very worried that that person has an ulterior motive. That weeping is abnormal. It stems from a certain unstated reason why the person is there. So clearly, I think that is something that raises and further politicizes the matter beyond any dissent. If they had allowed the Chief Justice to defend herself and to find a lawyer and other things to come in for it, you will not have this unnecessary politicization of the thing. President Mahama has followed the law to the letter. If you look at the measures that have been undertaken, the receipt of the petitions, the referral of the petitions to the Council of State, the action of the Council of State in determining the matter, the determination of the primary facility case, all the way to the suspension, the president has complied with the spirit and letter of the Constitution and the laws of this country. So where has the president violated the law? And in that case, those who are already crying wolf, maybe they know more than us. That maybe this one, nobody has just established the guilt or innocence of the Chief Justice. Is that it? The matter is now going to go before the panel of 5, isn't it? So why are they falling over themselves?
It's also a case of them knowing how it ends, how these issues end. Because there's precedents, especially relative to the former EC chair, Charlotte said. So, so there's, I mean, they know how this is going to end.
You see, but that is why you see those who slaughter people don't want to lie flat on their backs. Because they know what they have done.
Our time is up.
So I want to say without any item of hesitation that there's nothing illegal and illegitimate that has been done by the president and the government.
Right.
They are just following through. And is anybody suggesting to us that the Chief Justice, the Electoral Commission boss, whoever, are they above the law? Nobody is above the law. If it catches up with anybody, that's what happened. Not only Charlotte said, Domolevo.
Yeah.
You remember Domolevo? What happened to him?
Yeah.
And when he sent the matter to court, you saw what happened.
Yeah.
They waited until the matter became useless when it was moot, and then they came out with the judgment on the matter, by which came it was of no use. So I'm saying that these things have happened, and so if you are eating a monkey's hand, look at your hand as well.
All right. My time is up, but I'll take I'll take a couple of messages before we go. NPP should advise Afenyo to stop embarrassing himself. People don't want to hear him again because he has messed up Parliament and Ghana as a whole. James K. Saba sent that one. Good morning, panelists. This is Julius Azong from Sandema in Busa North. In my opinion, the minister didn't do anything wrong, so why should he apologize? What should he apologize for? I sent my wife to TTH some years back. I nearly wept the way and manner some health workers performed their duties. Okay, thank you. During the reigns of the NPP, they tell you in a little argument that I should go to court. I did not understand then. It is now clear to me that it was because they were having the judiciary headed by CJ Tokono. You can see how they are coming to a defense. Morris Weko from Anglogan. Thank you, Morris, for a message. Two more messages, then I call it a day. Good morning, sir, and your panelists. I hear in the USA, a CEO, his workers and visitors use the same washroom, and this serves as checks on workers. Let's implement such things here. Daniel from Singani. Thank you, Daniel. Look, bless. My elder brother died at TTH due to negligence. The minister owes them no apologies. Ken Sheriff in Tamale says, good morning, please. The TTH issue has been there for a long time and the behavior is tarnishing the image of the hospital. In fact, in April last year, my brother-in-law had an accident at Damongo and was referred to TTH. The patient had internal bleeding in the head, but he was in the emergency ward for almost 3 days without any medical attention, and wouldn't even get someone to talk to because we're being told that the one in charge of the patient's movement from the emergency ward to the medical ward was not around and there was nothing they could do. I called a friend who was a doctor at the hospital and he told me he has taken transferred to WA Regional Hospital because of the issues at TTH. He said if you talk about it as a staff, you would be victimized. Okay, there are a lot of Me Too stories being shared by viewers on this Tamale Teaching Hospital issue. We hope that it is resolved. But my time is up. I want to thank you for tuning in. It's been a wonderful Friday edition of Good Morning Africa Live here on Pan-African Television with yours sincerely, Bless Koku ALORMASSOR. And make sure tomorrow, Saturday, 9 a.m., you make time for the biggest weekend political show on TV, Alhaji and Alhaji with Sena Nombo. Until then, I'll see you on Monday. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye-bye.